Well, I'm interested in hearing maybe some questions from the audience too about this. Does anyone have something they want to add, or should we just keep going like this? You have a question?
How you guys doing? The Marvin Van Peebles story, and for to know that he's your mentor is great. I just wanted to acknowledge that. That's a great thing. I'm very interested in. I'm in international relations. That's my major, and I can see like the correlations with you guys said on the panel. And I'm like, I've always been in the arts. I was an actor, equity actor for some time. I came back to school because I felt like I had to sell out in order to survive. But my heart's always been in theater. I've taken a class, we've offered a class for the doctor. She's offered a class through the modern language department to see the films. Without my question is, or statement is that I'm actually interested. I think you guys were talking about markets, and I think there's not a market for ethnic sci-fi movies. They usually move towards the Caucasian side as far as the main characters. And I was always thinking like, it's like one or two, I think Rusty Kundif, you might know.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah, Rusty Kundif tried it with Tales from the Hood, but it's never been a genre for it. So I actually have written the script. I'm not pitching my script, but I just think the market.
Of course you're not. Of course you're not pitching your script.
I'm not pitching my script. But I think it's a market, and you guys are hitting it right on the nail. And you woke me up, is it Darren? David, I'm sorry. David, you woke me up with what Kasumi was saying. It's like, you know, I felt her, and then you just kind of woke me up with the marketing plan. There's no marketing plan for this stuff. But how do you guys feel about that market? Do you think there is? Am I in the right direction as far as
if you're looking at
ethnic-driven sci-fi movies?
If you're looking,
or horror?
yeah, if you're looking at the evidence that's there for this working, maybe you want to maybe look at what's come out of Hong Kong historically, out of Bollywood. The one thing they haven't done is sci-fi. They have not really explored that. Lots of action, they make romances, musicals, sci-fi. I mean, there's so many special effects in Hong Kong that you could maybe. Actually, I did see some things bordering on sci-fi that are being tried, and it's always a kind of trial and error thing. I think it's untested territory. I do.
Just like Ringu, the story, where we got the ring from, that when it was adapted to America, it was Americanized. Ours was more special effects driven, but the Ringu, the original, was story driven. I think that was more powerful. It was a more powerful movie than even though the American version I thought was powerful too, but the story was way more powerful than the effects, and they had any effects in it. The Japanese version.
The one point you're making is the Japanese have done it, and some of those films have worked well. Interestingly, what is Godzilla? Godzilla is a monster that is born in a nuclear explosion off the coast of Japan. How topical. Yeah. Censored to not to implicate the United States in all this when it was first brought to the U.S. and only shown in its real version a few years ago in the U.S. But yeah, the Japanese example might be the more interesting one if you're talking about sort of non-white science fiction tradition. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, and this is not to be cruel or harsh, but there's a million writers out there with a million science fiction stories about black people. I meet them all the time. And it's not, this goes, now there's one thing, to write a good script, to get a good story, but then, okay, let's say you make good ones, bad ones, the market still has to be created for that thing, the audience building, because you cannot, you're gonna have to blaze trails. There's history, there are examples of things that have been done, but if you base moving forward on what the industry has already done, then only movies black people should make are comedies and right. I mean that so you can't base it on that. But But the thing is, how would you do it differently? Okay, you know, I mean, really do it differently. You know, the script, the cast, the audience building, the support system. Men in Black was a science fiction movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I understand. But obviously, Will Smith could have been traded out for any white actor, and it would have been the same story pretty much. But there are ways to do this, and take some of his examples. But like, there are ways to do it, but it's still going to go back to audience building. Hollywood is trying to find a way to build audiences now for every film that they make. So you're competing against that, and so I'm saying to you is, it's, whatever your story is, you still have to connect with your audience, no matter what.
And the two dominant audience building efforts in Hollywood right now are China and India. And it hasn't worked so well yet, but they'll hit it sooner or later. They'll hit something commercial sooner or later.
Slightly maybe provocative remark coming from outside the US. I think that there's something, we laugh a little bit about it in Europe because the US majors are always looking for films to pick up from Europe that are different. They're always looking for something new. So there's a lot of remakes done from something that was originally European, but they always Hollywoodize them, so they come out exactly the same. So they're looking for something new, but the industry, when an industry is very sort of success driven, on the one hand it knows that it has to be innovative to get new audiences. On the other hand, it's very conservative because it's always looking back to see what worked, especially television. They don't even create new formats; they buy formats that's already working. So this is a strange dialectic in a way, dynamics that's working, and you definitely have to do something different to do it. But if you can do it real low budget, you have a much better chance of proving yourself.
Do we have, how about over here?
My name's Kenneth, proud Mike, CSU. I have a quick question. You guys had mentioned the issue with getting audiences to see films, and my question is with budget aside, I mean, big budget is big budget. You can market anywhere in the world if you got the money. Outside of budget, with you guys working abroad, what would you say are the genres that easier that transcend international borders the easiest, you guys think?
Well, I mean, you just said it. It's action and those type of films, explosions. You have an explosion every 12 minutes, visuals, sex, and all those kind of things kind of transcend it all.
Action.
So action over independent market as well.
I mean,
It gets, first of all, it's really complicated right now because the one thing we haven't talked about, which is going to have a tremendous effect on all this, is the pirating that's so pervasive that in some countries nobody goes to movies at all. That you have in Scandinavia, in Finland, Finland and Sweden, these kids are so cyber savvy that they're stealing absolutely everything. You must run into this. It's remarkable.
It's even worse than the Baltics.
Oh yeah. Who knows? There must be something in the vodka there. But it's when you think of a business plan, this is a major consideration. But yeah, there's certain genres that work internationally. Action and sex, I would say, and super and big stars. Comedy is problematic because it's based on language. That's why, if you look at it from the other side, in domestic markets in other countries, the comedies tend to do well because these are often language-based jokes with character actors who would not have much appeal internationally, but are very well liked by the domestic audience.
And they can get remade for an American audience successfully.
Yeah.
American humor. Yeah. Lise, did you want to add something?
No, I tend to slightly disagree with this. I think that, English, and especially American English, is like the mother tongue of film. So American movies, we know that they're all over the world, and they do cross all borders. I don't think that, for instance, European action travels very well because a lot of the time we are trying to copy American films and we don't do it as well as you do. And coming back to, we don't really. It seems fake because you come from a tradition of the Wild West. So if you put guns in the hand of people and you have one sheriff who goes out and shoot everybody and take care of the whole problem alone, that's fine because it's in tune with how you interpret yourself as Americans. If we do that in Denmark, where the police only got guns 20 years ago, it's just fake. I mean, it doesn't work. It doesn't work in the home box office, and therefore it doesn't travel. So I don't think that, as a rule of thumb, action is not really crossing borders unless it's American or perhaps.
I meant American action
Yeah.
films.
Okay.
It doesn't work for European directors.
You have to be in line with who you are and the cultural tradition that you're coming from, and if you can make it real and universally interesting, but exotic in a way, that's the best, your best chance of crossing borders.
Yeah, I think I'm coming from a very, it's a lowbrow approach, but in all the little villages and enclaves that I've been in, whether it's bad action or good action or American action or European action, there's people in these little villages watching that stuff. Like that's my experience from Cambodia to West Africa to East Africa. You know, there's something about picking up a gun and shooting someone easy, you know, and some tits easy. You know, some simple things kind of easy in these little small places. That just, I don't know what the markets are like, but I see those DVDs and those VHSs still in all those places that I travel to.